did I not hear, we should never collect that money to begin with, and we should just leave it in the states?
Simply because we didn't get to that point in the process. Ultimately, I believe the money should just stay in the states. Remember, we talked about start off block, not do it cold turkey. You start off block granted to the states, and then have a way where gradually over time you leave it in the states such that eventually nothing will be going from Washington, D.C. So that's the beginning of the process, not the end of the process.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
How's your week been?
I've had a great week. Great week.
Herman, tonight you were discussing a lot of issues. What was the most important issue and point that you were trying to make tonight as it relates to Newt Gingrich and his run against you as president?
We are so similar in things that we would do that going in, we both knew that it was going to be very difficult for us to have a serious bone of contention. I'm glad that we talked about Medicare, Social Security, and Medicaid because we fundamentally have to restructure those programs. He and I are consistent on that. How we specifically do it, there may be a few differences, but those can be worked out. So one of the main objectives that I had was for us to spend some quality time explaining to audiences more than a short soundbite answer in terms of those most critical things. Because if we do not get our hands around these programs, they call them entitlement programs, but for example, Social Security didn't start out an entitlement program. The bureaucrats changed it and started calling them entitlement programs over time. All the way back to 1935, I saw the original Social Security Assistance Program. They used to call it an assistance program. And it grew into an entitlement program. This is why we've got to fundamentally restructure them, which I believe that message came through loud and clear.
Mr. Cain, I want to ask you about Social Security. You wrote in 2005 that the Civil Rights Act did not apply to Social Security, that blacks and whites mandatory payroll tax deduction, the system by its very nature discriminates against black men and women. Do you think Social Security is racist?
Okay, you were doing okay until you asked that last part, okay? But I'm gonna let you go. Now, let me explain to you what that meant. And if you'd have done a little bit more research, you would have found what I was referring to. Since blacks and whites all are required to contribute the same rate to Social Security throughout their life, the life expectancy of whites is greater than the life expectancy of blacks, which means that, on average, blacks are subsidizing the whites to live longer. That was the point of that statement.
Okay. And you stand by that 2005 column?
I stand by that 2005 column. Let me repeat myself. Life expectancy, look it up. On average, blacks don't live as long. Whites live longer. And the point I was trying to make, that's the disparity. I don't believe Social Security was developed to be racist. That's a wrong choice of words. Because when Social Security was first developed, they were basically, betting that many of us wouldn't live a certain period of time. But I happen to believe that that's one reason I support personal retirement accounts, optional personal retirement accounts. Because then it's your money and it takes out that disparity due to differences in life expectancy. Okay?
Mr. Cain, from all the money that's traded, from under the table, illegal, like here's $50 for doing this service, money that doesn't show up on the radar on the tax system, all the way to drugs and everything else. Is the tax system that you've been looking at a flat tax? Will it bring in more tax money across the board?
Absolutely. The 999 plan, because of the sales tax component, it will tap into the underground economy. It'll tap into money that illegals spend here if they are doing things on a cash basis. It'll also tap into the money that is spent here by foreigners when they come to do their shopping. It's been estimated that just that piece alone could be anywhere from $70 to $100 billion. We have no idea how much underground economy money we're going to collect because of that. So yes, because we've expanded the base with that 999 approach, it would in fact collect additional revenue from those sources that today aren't being, probably not being tapped into.
Mr. Cain, we're seeing an awful lot of you here I'm sorry, we're seeing an awful lot of you here in Texas. Nice to have you here, of course. But I heard someone, I forget who it was, suggesting that perhaps your campaign is spending an awful lot of time where it shouldn't. One would think this is Rick Perry country. Why do you keep coming back to Texas? Why aren't you spending this time up in New Hampshire, Iowa, other places that are more likely to be in play?
If I had been running this campaign the way the pundits think that I should be running it, I would have dropped out at the end of August. We're running an unconventional campaign. Secondly, there's a lot of money here in Texas. And in case people hadn't figured out, I'm not a gajillionaire. There's a lot of money here. And thirdly, I happen to believe that some of the states that may be later in the process are going to have a bigger impact this time around because of changes in the whole schedule. Thirdly, our basin, Iowa, New Hampshire, South Carolina, we started building that base over a year ago. We didn't just start. And what we have discovered, as indicated by the polls, the fact that even though I haven't been there the way the pundits think that I should be there, when people get on the Cain train, they don't get off. This is why we're still doing well there. That being said, we do have plans to make an intensive presence in Iowa and New Hampshire coming up within the next several weeks.
Ladies and gentlemen, wait, excuse me, ladies and gentlemen, last question, please.
Mr. Cain, the attorney for one of the women who filed a sexual harassment complaint against
Don't
you.
even go there.
No gossip.
Can I ask my question?
No.
No, no
because
gossip
the-
tonight.
May I ask a good question?
Where's my chief of staff?
Right here.
Please send him the journalistic code of ethics.
Will do.
All right. You got a good. Who else? You want to ask another good question?
Yes, sir, I do. If, as president, you found that the Congress was not going ahead and following your lead, would you go ahead and try to legislate from the Oval Office like Mr. Obama indicates he is going to try to do? I think that's a good question.
That is a good question. First of all, this administration is trying to legislate through the regulatory arm of the government. I think that's dishonest in terms with the American people. I do not believe that as president I would need to get things done that way. The way I will work with the Congress is quite simply establish a relationship with the Congress about what it is we want to do, and then make sure that the American people understand it. I want to do things that the American people understand, things that the American people can support, because if they understand it, they will support it, and they will demand it. So no, I don't believe in abusing the office of the president.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Gotta go.
Yes, we gotta go.
Speakers here.
I'm sorry.
Are you
This
not
is
going to answer any
over.
questions about this ever again, Mr. Cain? The sexual harassment stuff?
Okay,
Is that what
ladies and
you're saying?
gentlemen,
You
thank
got
you
it.
so much for coming, and we're on a very tight time schedule, so they have to trade places right now.
Mr. Cain.
Mr. Cain, why are you not answering this question?
Okay, if you all listen, if you all just listen for 30 seconds, I will explain this one time.
Could you sit down for the microphone for us, sir, to do that?
No, no.
Would you kindly, if Mr. Cain
No,
wants to do that, please
It's
let
time for
him.
us to trade places, everybody, so Mr. Cain,
These
are
it's
legitimate
time for us to trade
See, but
places.
repeatedly, you all, I was going to do something that my staff told me not to do and try to respond, okay? What I'm saying is this, we are
Thank you,
getting
sir.
back on message
Thank you, Mr.
in
Cain.
the story, back on message. Read all of the other accounts. Read all of the other accounts where everything has been answered in the story. We're getting back on message, okay?
Thank you. Thank you very much, everybody. Speaker Gingrich will be here in just a minute. I believe we're ready. Thanks so much. You may want to get reset, ready to go.